This week we're going to look at the teachings of Jesus and see how he came to correct some of the teachings that the religious leaders of the day had been teaching the people. Now, it's true that a lot of these teachings came from the law of Moses, which means it came from the Word of God, which means it came from Jesus. But he goes a step deeper. So yes, it's good, do not murder, do not commit adultery. These are all good things, but Jesus seems to be after something even more than the outward appearance or outward actions. He's always going to be the one going for our hearts. Why? Because it was our hearts that often strayed from him that led us into rebellion. When we look at our history and the history of the Bible, it was always the people's hearts being far from God that got them into trouble. You see, the Lord does not see as a man sees, for a man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Jesus often corrects this surface level teaching with a phrase, and he says, "You have heard it said, but I tell you." And throughout this passage in today's episode, we see several of these examples. He says, "You have heard it said, don't murder, but I tell you, don't hate. You've heard it said, don't commit adultery, but I tell you, don't even look at someone lustfully. Don't break oaths, but realize your words pale in comparison to God's greatness. You've heard it say, an eye for an eye, but I tell you, love your enemies." And loving enemies is hard. It's easy to love someone when they're hanging out with you, when they're your friend, when you do things for them, they do things for you. But to love an enemy, to pray for someone who persecutes you, to go the extra mile, as he's saying. Now, what does that mean? We've often heard the phrase going the extra mile, but did you realize that it originates from this passage? Here's a little bit of historical context. In the time when Jesus walked the earth as a man in his public ministry, Rome was one of the leading powers of the globe. And Roman soldiers could conscript or could make force anyone to walk with them 1 mile. That wasn't just so that they could walk and have a talking buddy. It was so that that person would carry their heavy backpack, their soldier's gear. They didn't want to carry it all the time, so they could actually make any citizen walk with them and carry their pack. What is Jesus saying by going the extra mile? See, I think what he's getting at is, walk with them because you have to for that first mile, but then love them for the second. Do what you have to do, but then show that it is a choice to love them past that point. Now, that means you've got a 4-mile walk on your hands. You walked the first mile because you had to, the second because you wanted to, because you chose to. You gotta walk 2 miles back to your starting point. So this is not easy. This is hard. Loving your enemies is almost always going to be difficult. Yet, this is how you show that it's a choice to love. Do these things because it pleases God and not man. He sees the heart. The heart is always what we're after. But look how we can mirror and model Jesus, who always loved his enemies, who went the extra mile, who walked just under a mile with the cross. He knew how to love his enemies, and we get to follow his example.